They married into wealth thinking they'd be happy forever, but walked into hell without knowing. These are the richest heiresses who disappeared after seemingly marrying into billions. In this video, we're counting down on their stories, unveiling a life that looked perfect on the outside, but felt like a golden cage within. 10. Asma al-Assad, the rose in the desert. We're starting off with the story of a lady whose character became darkened by the deceitfulness of riches and privileged position, making her a hate figure for many. Asma al-Assad is glamorous, young, and very chic, the freshest and most magnetic of first ladies. Her style is not the couture and bling-dazzle of Middle Eastern power, but a deliberate lack of adornment. She's a rare combination of a thin, long-limbed beauty with a trained, analytic mind who dresses with cunning understatement. Paris Match calls her the element of light in a country full of shadow zones. She is the First Lady of Syria. A British-educated former investment banker, Asma cultivated the image of a glamorous, yet serious-minded woman with strong Western-inspired values. She was meant to humanize the increasingly secretive and isolated Assad family. But it seems the Syria's London-born First Lady, who was breathlessly described as a rose in the desert, was comfortably settled at the heart of the shadowy inner circle of her husband, President Bashar al-Assad. As Syria slides towards civil war and foreign powers watch for cracks within the ruling clan. Understanding Asma could prove vital to understanding the Assads and the future of the Syrian crisis. But her image crumbled when her husband responded to an anti-government rebellion with extreme violence. Asma had clearly decided to stand by her man despite international revulsion at his actions. Assad himself says he is fighting an insurrection involving foreign-backed terrorists, but instead of lending her voice for the people, Asma chose to reveal emails published by Britain's Guardian newspaper from accounts believed to belong to the family, offering a different portrait and showing her as a capricious dictator's wife spending tens of thousands of pounds on jewels, fancy furniture, and a Venetian glass vase from Harrods. Asma's ancestral home is the City of Homes, now a symbol of the revolt which has been subjected to particularly fierce attack by her husband's tanks to become ground zero in the year-long conflict. With her penchant for crystal-encrusted Christian Louboutin shoes and Chanel dresses, Asma is a puzzle for many. Some believe that she is a propaganda tool of the Assad family, a liberal going through a moral crisis in Damascus, unable to speak up or escape. The opposition roundly rejects suggestions that she is effectively a prisoner of conscience in the presidential palace. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018 and later leukemia. Now, reports indicated she and her family may have left Syria. 9. Sheikha Latifah, the disappeared Dubai heiress. The story of Sheikha Latifah reveals the truth about the unseen oppression happening in the most luxurious palaces. Her case may well be the most ruthless and terrible handling of a princess ever seen in history. And to mention the fact that she's the daughter of Dubai's ruler Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum is even more painful. Though surrounded by riches and glamour, she never truly wanted them. Anxiety, anger, and constant cries became her daily routine, but her voice was not heard. The four walls of the palace seemed to be a prison that's somehow difficult to break. She got fed up and wanted out. Latifah gained international attention in 2018 after a failed escape attempt from the United Arab Emirates in late February 2018, which she described in secret videos as an act of desperation to flee a life of severe, abusive restrictions. She was captured in international waters near the Indian coast in March 2018 and forcibly returned to Dubai. In 2019, Latifah managed to get a secret phone, enabling her to record video messages from 2020 to early 2021. In these videos, she stated she was being held as a hostage in a villa with barred windows, unable to access medical or legal help. She described her life in Dubai as having no freedom and being under constant surveillance. After international pressure and the Free Latifah campaigns, she was photographed in public places in 2021, and her family claimed she was safe and under their care. The case of Sheikha Latifah has just exemplified that even royalty is not royalty if freedom is not guaranteed. Number 8. Melania Trump, the Tower Prisoner. At number 8 is a woman whose position many would fancy their chances of getting. Melania Trump didn't just get married to the President of the United States, but to a business magnate and real estate billionaire in dollars, making her position as the First Lady even more coveted. To many, Melania has just signed one of the best deals ever. The mansions, special treatments, glamour, and access to specially designed outfits made for royalty and luxury all but made it the ultimate occupation. But that wasn't the case, as she soon discovered her own golden cage. It was reported that in 3 years, Melania only posted one picture of herself and Trump. He dominates the frame. Her face is in shadow and cropped out. It is both a selfie and an erasure, a depiction of her placement within their world. Since becoming the First Lady, Melanie's view of her family and the world has changed. She sees her family from behind and sees the rest of the world from above. Though she was meant to be visible to all, both in the United States and beyond, her routine is marked by stays at home, or what seems like a lot for someone with $1 billion in a private jet. Anyway, enough to capture the same view over and over again, at different times of day and weather. But why won't the First Lady show up for her job? Why? Her Twitter history gave a little pointer. Melania tweeted 470 photos, which she appeared to have taken herself, and it immediately reveals a little about how we perceive the world. For someone like Melania, media-trained, controlled, and cloistered, her collection of Twitter photography provides an otherwise unavailable view into the reality of her existence. Nowhere else, and certainly not in interviews or public appearances, is her guard so far down. Like legions of New Yorkers who hibernate in their apartments, Melania Trump is a virtual shut-in. Her refuge, 58 stories above Manhattan's hoi polloi, is laden with enough gold to embarrass a Saudi prince. But the reality is that she is a princess with no hair, locked in a tower of her own volition, and delighted with the predictability and repetition of her own captivity. She's hiding and doesn't care about anything else. Not her country, not how bad she looks, not the money it costs us. She has no shame because, for her, hiding is shameless. It is safe. She lives behind glass, in cars, in her house, on private planes and private resorts. She doesn't even get out of the car to see landmarks or walk in the park. She is never among the public, not for a second. At the end, Melania is seen as a fairy tale prisoner by choice. Number 7. Ri Sol-ju, the vanishing First Lady. And to our number 7 is a woman whose life remains shrouded in unending mystery. Ri Sol-ju, the revered First Lady of North Korea, believed to be around 30 years old, is the wife of ruler Kim Jong-un and a former pop singer. She once was a member of the Hermit Kingdom's Army of Beauty's cheerleading squad, but now makes sporadic appearances abroad and in state propaganda. Ri was born into a military family in the North Korean city of Cheongjin in the 1980s. Prior to tying the knot with Kim, Ri is believed to have studied singing in China and was among a selected group of young women dispatched to South Korea to cheer for the North's team at the 2005 Asian Athletics Championships. Ri has always been a symbol of modernity and luxury even before she got married to Kim Jong-un. Unlike previous North Korean leaders' wives, Ri plays an active public role, often appearing in stylish, Western-influenced attire and, on occasion, carrying luxury items like a Gucci handbag. But little did she know that becoming the wife of probably the most talked-about dictator leader in North Korea would leave her in the shadows of the most secretive regime on earth. Ever since she got married, her life has been a series of disappearing acts. The number of children both Ri and Kim have remained unclear, but they are thought to have 3 children, with the first likely born in 2010. The existence of the children or their genders are said to have never been verified by the state media, but former NBA player Dennis Rodman said in 2018 after returning from the Hermit Kingdom that he held the couple's then-baby daughter, Ju-ae. Despite being a First Lady, most of Ri's public appearances have been with her husband at military or diplomatic functions, explaining how she's been viewed and what they feel she should be seen for. The timeline of Ri's disappearance is never in days, but in weeks, months, and years, spurring speculation about what is behind her prolonged disappearance. There were speculations of her being pregnant or having given birth to a baby. But none of these explains the web Ri is into. Ri's disappearance from state media reports is considered unusual. Since state media began referring to her as First Lady instead of Comrade, she was usually mentioned in media reports at least once a month. Ri's eventual public introduction was underwhelming to say the least. North Korean media mentioned her almost as an afterthought during coverage of an amusement park opening in Pyongyang. The NIS reported that Ri has no health issues or change in status, leading to speculation that her absence from public appearances is ultimately part of Kim's efforts to put the spotlight on and promote their daughter, Kim Joo-ae. Ri, who was always photographed smiling politely, wearing clean-cut pastel dresses, has now become a shadow of herself. Though living in supposed wealth and glamour, she's more or less a victim of a golden cage of a negative culture. R6. Princess Charlene, the sad princess of Monaco. Charlene Wittstock was a South African champion swimmer, but she had no clue that her days as an Olympic athlete would one day lead her to her royal destiny. Unfortunately, being a princess isn't always what it seems, and the rumors about her are nothing short of scandalous. From chilling family curses to her horrific wedding day, Charlene of Monaco has a story tailor-made for tragedy. Her parents, Michael and Lynette Wittstock, a sales manager and swimming coach respectively, raised Charlene and her two younger brothers in the city of Bulawayo. Charlene's remarkable feat won her several awards, but her greatest accolades were yet to come, both professionally and romantically. Charlene's overwhelming talent was exactly what made her stand out from the crowd. Shortly after the Olympics, she flew to Monaco for another competition, and she did not disappoint. She took home the gold medal for the 200-meter backstroke. What's more, her impressive feat intrigued the likes of royalty, namely Prince Albert of Monaco, who asked to meet her. Described as statuesque with a long neck and high cheekbones, 5'10" tall, Charlene is hard to miss when she walks into a room. It's no wonder she fascinated Prince Albert. But was Charlene prepared for everything that came along with dating a prince? Sure, Albert's princely title surely attracted Charlene, but what if he was informally known as the Playboy Prince? Although Charlene had her own dating history, Albert notoriously wined, dined, and dated numerous glamorous women. Prior to Charlene, Albert was rumored to have dated Janice Dickinson, Claudia Schiffer, Brooke Shields, and Catherine Oxenberg, among others. That said, his many liaisons came back to haunt Charlene in a terrible way. In 2007, Charlene finally agreed to move closer to Prince Albert permanently, their relationship definitely heating up. Charlene packed her bags and moved into a tiny apartment in the Principality of Monaco, one of the wealthiest and most expensive places in the world. It was the start of something new and exciting, but she was not prepared for the culture shock. Charlene's laid-back approach, mentality, and humor were in stark contrast to that of the Monegasque nationals. In addition to moments of loneliness and solitude, she had to face ruthless competition within her new social circle. Many of the women expected the prince to choose one of them as his consort. As Prince Albert was the regent of Monaco, Charlene faced the jealousy of her wealthy rivals. Prince Albert's Casanova past came back to haunt Charlene not long after their relationship began. In 2005, the prince dropped one heck of a surprise and admitted to having an illegitimate child, Alexander, born in 2003. Oh, but that wasn't all. In 2006, news of a second illegitimate child born in 1992 emerged, a daughter named Jasmine, which was devastating news to Charlene. According to reports, Prince Albert must have been suffering from a curse of never to find happiness in marriage, placed on the generations before him by a Flemish woman that was claimed to have kidnapped Prince Rainier. Although Charlene may have been oblivious to the 700-year-old curse, she was not exempt from its clutches. Plot number 5. Sheikha Moza bint Nasser, the fashion empress. Our number 5 is the wife of the previous emir of Qatar. Though seen as the daughter of a traitor, Moza bint Nasser's story speaks of power, wealth, and revenge on the southern shore of the Persian Gulf. Her Highness is one of the Middle East's leading fashion figures, having received global acclaim for the sartorial choices she made whilst accompanying her husband at state functions. Bint Nasser's immediately recognizable monochromatic ensembles are at once striking and in keeping with Qatari conventions of modest dressing. Sheikha Moza bint Nasser al-Misned's life began dramatically. As the daughter of a former finance minister, she experienced brutal political struggles from an early age. Her father was exiled for opposing Emir Khalifa's autocratic rule, forcing her family into dependency while living in Kuwait. This experience planted seeds for change within young Moza and foreshadowed her future tumultuous journey. But the turning point came in 1977, when 18-year-old Moza met Crown Prince Hamad on campus at Qatar University. They got married, and she quickly became one of the most powerful women in the Middle East. Her net worth is estimated to be more than $15 billion, and everywhere she goes, people are charmed by her jet-setting lifestyle. But behind this seemingly romantic and powerful encounter lay political maneuvering. Hamad was the son of Khalifa Emir, who had exiled her father. When their union eventually materialized, it sent shockwaves throughout the Arab world and stirred currents within royal circles as well. Entering as a secondary wife meant that Moza faced not only overt competition among wives, but also ongoing suppression from her father-in-law Khalifa against the traitor's daughter. As a highly visible, active, and influential woman, Sheikha Moza has faced significant complex challenges within the socially conservative environment of the Gulf. Though wealthy, Sheikha Moza bint Nasser's cage is simply one of undue standards, power and responsibility placed on the shoulder of a woman seeking solace in a risky environment. Number 4. Rosmah Mansor, the Imelda Marcos of Malaysia. She thought she was the ultimate power until Nemesis caught up with her. This is the story of Rosmah Mansor, one who once turned the Palace of Malaysia into an avenue to display her wild excesses. On the surface, she looks like the absolute deal and ultimate answer to what power, wealth, and demure means, but on the inside, she's in an absolute cage of corruption. Born on December 10, 1951, Rosmah was the only child of a Malay school headmaster and his teacher wife in southern Negeri Sembilan state. In 1987, Imelda married Marcos, the then president of the Philippines. He was known for widespread abuse of power, subverting the institutions, massive corruption, and obscene extravagance. There was so much poverty, and finally, people got rid of him. Rosmah is worse than Imelda. It must have been her dream to become and be better than Imelda. She thought she could get away with it, but the people soon got fed up with them and rejected her husband as prime minister. Her husband, Najib Razak, stole the people's money and put it in his personal bank account. Rosmah spends millions of dollars living in luxury. Her love for Hermes Birkin bags came to light after 2018 raids, in which police confiscated more than 500 handbags and 12,000 pieces of jewelry estimated to be worth $270 million. Police described the haul as the biggest in Malaysia's history. But Najib maintained that the items seized were gifts. In 2016, the Wall Street Journal reported that Rosmah had racked up at least $6 million in credit card charges, despite having no known source of income beyond her husband's salary. Her conviction by the High Court came just 9 days after her husband Najib Razak, Malaysia's former premier, began serving a 12-year jail term for offenses linked to the multi-billion-dollar 1MDB financial scandal. Rosmah was sentenced to 10 years in prison and given a $216 million fine. Because of her shared nature with the former Philippines First Lady, cartoonists have dubbed her the Imelda Marcos of Malaysia. Number 3. Empress Masako, the diplomat who went silent. In Japan, Empress Masako, a young and well-read diplomat, rose to the throne of the Japanese Empire. Surrounded by wealth, riches, and luxury, there's no doubt that it was the beginning of a new era for her. After marrying Crown Prince Naruhito in 1993, Princess Masako didn't waste much time as she sat at a state banquet between Bill Clinton and Boris Yeltsin. She chatted with Clinton in English, Yeltsin in Russian, and greeted François Mitterrand in French. She seemed like a breath of fresh air blowing through the staid old imperial palace. People wondered if the arrival of this Western-educated young woman into the imperial family would bring about a change in the position of Japanese women. But the throne and other ideas. 3 years later, she has become almost invisible. She has made only one public appearance on her own, a speech to a local charity. She and her husband, Crown Prince Naruhito, attend public functions. But most of the time, Princess Masako is treated like a precious ornament, something to be admired on special occasions and hidden away the rest of the time. Adding to her numerous challenges, the rigidly traditional monarchy has given her one overwhelming duty: to bear a male heir, and that, so far, she has been unable to do. But by hanging back in the shadows, and by failing, thus far, to meet the public's expectations in the matter of childbirth, Masako has contributed to a mood of increasing disenchantment with the royal family. Masako's disappearance from public view speaks volumes about the role of women in Japan at the threshold of the 21st century. 25 years on, the liberated and outspoken former diplomat is barely recognizable in the sphinx-like figure, sheathed in white, who stood silently behind her husband as he was enthroned as emperor. Undoubtedly, Japan remains a country in which women often speak in high-pitched tones to convey humility and servitude. Number 2. Jiang Zetian, the milk tea billionaire. At number 2 is a story of a young and wealthy woman who seems to have it all figured out early in life but had to battle with the cage of corporate responsibility and public scrutiny. Jiang Zetian, often considered China's youngest female billionaire, is known for her nickname Milk Tea Sister and her marriage to Richard Liu, founder of e-commerce giant JD.com and one of the country's richest self-made men. Despite her success in business, life taught Jiang that nobody is free from issues, not even herself. It all started when she met her husband Liu Qiangdong in 2013 while she was studying abroad as an exchange student at Barnard College. The two began dating around that time, though they kept the relationship private initially due to the significant age difference. Jiang was in her early 20s, while Liu was in his early 40s. From 2013 to early 2014, the couple maintained a low profile, but subtle hints emerged through occasional social media activity and unconfirmed sightings, which began fueling online speculation about their involvement amid Jiang's rising public profile. In April 2014, photos of the pair holding hands and hugging in New York surfaced online, prompting initial denials from both that they were merely studying together or classmates. Media coverage intensified, with speculation centering on Jiang's motives, ranging from genuine affection to social climbing, given the disparity in their backgrounds and ages. Liu publicly confirmed the relationship later that month via a Weibo post. This announcement quelled some doubts, portraying the connection as sincere despite the challenges. The relationship continued to develop privately until their marriage in 2015. But this was just the beginning of more troubles to come for Jiang. Although Jiang has not faced any serious public controversy, her husband Liu was embroiled in a high-profile lawsuit in 2018, when a former University of Minnesota student accused him of rape. He was arrested on suspicion of felony rape, but prosecutors ultimately declined to press criminal charges due to serious evidentiary problems. The case was settled out of court in 2022, the same year Liu stepped down as CEO of JD.com. Number 1. Nita Ambani, the prisoner of Antilia. And finally, at number 1, we have the story of a woman whose husband is arguably the richest man in India. Surrounded by riches, wealth, and glamour, Nita could boast of $1 million in her account. She had houses, businesses, and cars for her pleasure, but little did she know that her husband's wealth is somehow wrapped in a cage of controversies and media belief. For Nita and Mukesh Ambani, the world has been waiting for a peek into their largest residence ever since it reared its 570 feet into the rarefied air of Mumbai's Altamont Road. Nita and Mukesh Ambani's residence Antilia is a symbol of opulence and architectural excellence in Mumbai, valued at Rs 15,000 crore. But in a shocking revelation, the couple said that the Antilia mansion is their only home in the world, with no further comments or clarification. This has, however, sparked controversies as to how true that could be. Not long after they moved into the luxurious residence, the couple were again terror-stricken in February 2021 after a car was recovered with explosives near their residence in South Mumbai. Before this particular incident, a similar event had occurred, which prompted the National Investigation Agency to file an affidavit opposing the bail plea of dismissed police officer Sachin Wais, a prime accused in the cases related to the Antilia bomb scare and subsequent killing of businessman Mansukh Hiran. The case of Nita Ambani is a clear lesson to all that the most luxurious place may not be the most secure after all. Behind Dubai's glittering towers and unimaginable wealth, some stories remain locked behind golden gates. The mystery of this vanished heiress reminds us that money can buy luxury, but not always freedom. What do you think really happened? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe to her status, and stay curious.